welcome to Hudson Valley Knits Podcast. I am Amy, your host, and I am also Memers on Ravelry and Memers66 on Instagram and Twitter. So thank you for joining me. Please, if you haven't already, feel free to join my Ravelry group, which is Hudson Valley Knits. I also have giveaways and knit-alongs and all sorts of fun things to do there. And I am up to 150 members. So if you join, and when I get to 200 members, I will draw a name and give away a free pattern. So please join the group. The other thing I wanted to say is that I am on iTunes. So if you subscribe to me in iTunes and you like my podcast, please leave me a review. I really appreciate that. I have so much to talk about. I have been thinking about it, and I think what I'm going to do is a little different this week. I'm going to skip the works in progress, and I don't have any finished objects. I think I'm just going to go right to talking about Vogue Knitting Live and show you all the stash I got and tell you about just like the big things I did over the weekend. I'm like exhausted. I got home Sunday about 5:30, and there was no way I could record a podcast. I had no energy left. We were both exhausted, and when I say me, I mean my friend Sandy and I. So I'm going to start with the stash enhancements because there's a lot of it. And then after that, we'll talk about just what went on at the Vogue Knitting Live event. It was so much fun. It's not like a Rhinebeck. There's not that much there. It's different. It's just different. It's not any better or worse. It's very different, but it's up there. It's up there. It's different than Stitches, I think, in my opinion, because you have the beautiful fashion shows. And yeah, it's just a different vibe. I don't know. I would say Rhinebeck is still my favorite event, but this is definitely the second, and by far better, in my opinion, than Stitches East. And I think it's because of where it is in the city. I mean, there's so much to do besides Vogue Knitting Live, but I'll get into that later. I have a lot of stash enhancements to show you. Oh, you know what I forgot? I got some stuff from my friend Mary Jean, but that doesn't really count, right? Because I'm giving that to her. She asked me to get her some stuff. She's a brand spanking new knitter, my friend Mary Jean, and she and I have been friends since like first grade. Yeah, we met in first grade. And I just taught her how to knit, and she's amazing. I can't believe how quickly she's picked it up. I really can't. So she sent me a text message while we were down there. She's like, get me something. $20 is what I can spend, and what should I knit next? And I said, how about socks? So she's knit hats and gloves. I'm like, how about how about a sock? And then Sandy said, no, she should do it like a cowl or some cables or something. So I got her some sockies from Lion Brand and like a purpley, kind of lavender purpley kind of color. And I got her some like a fuchsia colored Angora yarn, which I think she'll like, to make herself a nice cowl. So yeah, and I'll put a picture. I'll put it up on Instagram. Boy, so I'm going to skip the whips and I'm going to skip the spinning. They're both minimal. They're both nothing you haven't seen already. Let's get right to, oops, I dropped one. Let's get right to the stash enhancement. My first stop when we got there was the Lion Brand store. And I got to pick it up because I dropped it. Excuse me. So I have in my stash some of this in cream. It's like, it's not stark white. It's more like a creamy white. And it is Lion Brand Superwash Merino Cashmere. And they had some there, and it was a discounted price for the show. So I picked up these 3 colors, and I figured maybe I'll make myself a little color work hat. Maybe have a little slip stitch pattern around the bottom and then knit the rest in white. And I think these would be very pretty colors together. So I'll break it up with the gray, and we'll have the purpley and the green colors. And I really like that idea. So really beautiful yarn, nice and soft, and really inexpensive. That was the first one. Stay. Okay. Then, what did I get next? I forget what. Oh, nearby was the loops. I knew I wanted to get another loop bat. And I did. And I got it in this colorway, Earth Mother. This was the only place that had anything fibery. Some booths had a little fiber, but this was the only booth that had mainly fiber. And look at the beautiful colors. It's called Earth Mother, and it does remind me of the sky, and then the greens, and the earth, like the browns, and this like deserty orange, and then you have this beautiful purple. And I just love it. It's 4.4 ounces, and it's Tussa Silk and Merino. I'm dying to spindle some yarn, but I don't know if I should do I don't know if I should do the bats with a spindle. So I'm just undecided. Maybe I should just do a braid. So that was like the second thing. Then I went, now I walked around and I saw a lot of things that I would have loved to buy, but I was trying to be really particular because I don't need a lot. But when I got to Jill Draper Makes Stuff, and her lovely colors and her lovely yarns, and she's a Hudson Valley small business owner, and all of her yarns are hand dyed in the Hudson Valley, and all of her fiber comes from local farmers. So it was so hard not to buy a lot there, but I picked up these 2 skeins, and there's this goldenrod, and this is her sock yarn. This is a beautiful yellow, and I put it with this, which has some orange and some purple. Let me put this down. And basically what I was looking for is there's a lot of shawl patterns out there that call for like a variegated and a solid. And I saw these as being like a perfect match together. Especially this is a little more orange, I think, than it's appearing. But it's gorgeous. And I'm not sure what I'm going to knit with this yet, but it's going to look really beautiful together. So I'm very excited about this purchase. Might not happen this year because I think I have pretty much everything I'm going to knit this year. It's kind of worked out already. The next thing I got was there was this beautiful vendor on one of the floors. She was from Montreal, Canada, and she had gorgeous yarns. Now, she only took cash, and that kind of saved me from buying 2 skeins of this colorway, because this colorway is the most beautiful colorway I've ever seen. I love how the lavender and the brown look together, and she was actually working on something that she was knitting up in this colorway, and it's called Wildflower Oak, and this is hedgehog fibers. You got the glare there. Let me try. Hedgehog fibers. Oh, it's gorgeous. It is 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon. It feels like it has cashmere in it. That's how soft it is. It's not going to be a pair of socks. It's going to be something somewhere where you can see it. Because it's gorgeous. Maybe some fingerless mitts? I don't know. If you have any ideas, let me know. I really would welcome any ideas. So the next vendor that I spent a lot of dough in was Jimmy Bean's Wool was there. And they did some really creative things. So they just weren't set up with a bunch of yarns that Madeline Tosh or Malabrigo, the way a lot of the other stores that set up there had all their Madeline Tosh and Malabrigo. They did some creative things. They made some kits. They made some, they call them cupcakes. And different, they didn't do it just for Madeline Tosh. They did it for Cascade as well, and Art Yarns. And they made these little sampler kits. And I noticed on Sunday, you know what, I gotta figure out how to do this without. All right, so this is a whole big thing of just greens. I couldn't make up my mind what color. It's a sample of all of the Mad Tosh greens. Let's see if I can get those. Oh yeah, that's better. You see them? And it's, I have so many ideas for these because I didn't get just green, and I'm not going to take these out. I might take them out of the box. Let me put this away. So that was the greens. Now I have Madeline Tosh Light in a colorway called Antique Lace. It's a, I want to say gray color. It's a very beautiful neutral color that I could mix and match all these colors with. So here are the reds. That up there is like a pink, and then down here we have like a, almost like an orangey purpley. I think this looks like Archangel. Let me see. It is, no, amber. So they put the name of the yarn in there, which was great. I'm not sure the size of all the samples, but I could do some really pretty color work hats and mitts with these, which would be great. So there's amber. Here's this pretty pinky purpley color. I don't want to take them all out. This one's more of like a brownish red. Oh, so gorgeous. And this, isn't it gorgeous? Oh, love it. Should I show them all to you? Look at this one. Valentine's Day is coming. And this one's like a beautiful hot pink, really bright. And this one's like blood red with purple undertones. I mean, just, oh, I love this. This is like a very purpley pink. And then here you have your blush pink. I mean, there's just so many things. When I got home Sunday night, I dumped them all on the bed, and I was playing mixy matchy, you know, to see, you know, how the colors worked. And I wanted, if I weren't so tired, I would have gone and downloaded like a color chart online or something to really play with the colors and try and decide, all right, so what colors am I going to use together? So here are the yellows and oranges. It looks like it's going to fall out there. Hold on. Let me see. Just beautiful. I wish you could see them all side by side. Maybe I'll dump them out and like stick a picture in. There's just beautiful. And it's just enough. They charge $25 a box. Oh, you know, I took it out, but each box came with a bag of tea and a little tea biscuit as well. And they call it Tosh Tea Cakes. But the biscuit, the tea biscuit and the tea, like this one came with a ginger tea. The greens came with like a mint tea. and the reds came with like a zinger tee. It was just really thoughtfully done. I was really, really impressed. And then lastly, I supported one of my local yarn stores who was down there, which is Cornwell Yarn Store. They had a booth. They're in Cornwell, New York. They're actually a good 25 minutes from where I live, but really that's all that's around anymore because everything's closing. So there's one in Terrytown, but this one was at Vogue Knitting Live, so I picked up this skein of Madeline Tosh, thinking it's another neutral color I can use to go with all those color variations I got, and this is called Smokestack, and it's a beautiful gray, beautiful wintry gray with just a little bit of blue in there. It's beautiful. And you know what? That's it for Vogue Knitting Live. Oh no, it's not. Oh, I've left out one of the most beautiful things I got there. I fell in love with. I'll get to that in a minute. I did buy some wool wash while I was there, but that's insignificant. But I have to show you this. So I have this alpaca form that I'm very fond of. They're called Long Island alpaca. I'll tell you in a second. They're called Long Island Livestock Company. Here's a label from some alpaca yarn I got from them. Actually, was it alpaca? Oh, Bulky, Pie, Pfeiffer, and Ernie. So it's Llama and Rambouillet, and the other guy is Llama and Rambouillet wool. And I got a brown and a cream, and I got this at the Long Island Fiber Festival in 2012, but here's those colors. And they were there, and I was checking them out, and I wanted to get more and more stuff, but I kept saying, you know, you have those two bulky skeins that you got at the Long Island Fiber Festival. You can't get something else. You have to knit those up first. So what I did see, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, was she had some samples. And in the samples, she had this beautiful art yarn. And I cannot even begin to tell you how soft this is. I gotta find the end, hold on. Because it is so incredibly silky, soft. And these little beautiful curls. This is just beautiful. There is some dyeing. She's got some grays and some gold and some natural, and then she's got some bronze. I mean, the colors are just phenomenally beautiful. She also had darker ones, but I picked this one. I mean, and you should see it knit up. It was just beautiful. So I grabbed this, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit myself a cowl with the brown and the cream and use this at the end as like a design element. I want to get more of this. I want to knit more often with this. I want to think of other ways to use it. What I did last night before I went to bed, because you can't go to bed after something like this without playing with your purchases, is it's unraveled now, but I knit up a swatch with the brown and the cream, trying to figure out how I wanted to integrate the two colors and knit it up into a bulky cowl. And I was thinking a slip stitch pattern. But I wanted to put it out there to you guys. Does anybody know a good bulky weight cowl pattern that I could integrate this lock spun yarn in that would be good for integrating two colors? I would appreciate any feedback on that, because I'm really I want it to be really beautiful, and I want it to showcase this yarn, which looks better on the purl side, so I'm thinking I'm going to garter this at the end, or even maybe crochet it through. But this, by the way, is not made by the Long Island Fiber Company, Livestock Company. It's made by a woman up in upstate New York, up near Albany. She came down, they sell it for her, and she came down because they talked her into coming down all the way from Albany, because they wanted her to see the people that bought her stuff. And I talked to her, and I want to show you her card. She doesn't have a website. Making this yarn is not like her main business. Here's her back of her card. She has an email, but she also has she does have a Facebook page, and it's Once Upon Farm Artisan Lock Spun Yarn is on Facebook. So it's WUNSAPANA, and her name is Terry Conroy. Put that up again, and of course I'll put it in the show notes. I already liked her Facebook page, and she kind of puts up when she has stuff available. She told me that this is nothing to do with making money. She just loves to do it. She thinks spinning regular fiber is boring. She loves spinning this stuff, but one of the skeins that, similar to what I bought, but by the time she shears it, and I think I don't have that picture. Let me see if I have that picture down here. No, I don't. She gave me a picture of one of her animals. Darn it. It's on a business card. I'll have to show that to you another time, but she said by the time she shears it, dyes it, and spins it, she says it's hours and hours just for a 20-yard skein. So she's not really making any money. She just loves what she does. And we talked actually for quite some time, and she invited me up to get a tour of her farm. So my husband and I are going up that way in April. We're going to be up there for a week up near Lake George, and I think we might take a detour and stop in Sarasota and see her. I'm really excited about that. She was an amazing woman. I really enjoyed talking to her, and I love her yarn, and I would love to get more. And that is all the purchases from Vogue Knitting Live. Now, before I go into my nitty chatter about all we did, I did get some yarn from an online yarn store called Locity Yarns, and I wanted to show it to you real quick. This is this is from Locity Knits. I've known Denise from Locity Knits on Ravelry for a while now. Locity Knits. There's her website, locityknits.com. I've never bought her yarn before. When I posted pictures of my Against the Current shawl up on Instagram, and announced that I was going to the test knitter, she actually offered me a free skein of whatever I wanted to knit up one of the shawls. And basically the one I picked for the shawl, which is already with the sample knitter, is Foothills Fingering, and I told her to pick the color. She sent me a skein of Vintage, which is a beautiful brownish red, almost like a maroon, or even like a dark red wine. And I have a picture of it, and I'll put the picture up, but I gave it to the test knitter along with the pattern. I also sent the pattern to the tech editor, so hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll have it back from the tech editor, and then I just have to wait for the test knitters to finish it. So if there's still time, if you'd like a chance to test knit, to let me know. The reason I did buy 2 other skeins from her. because I have another pattern, and it's actually right here, called Guardian of Air shawl. And I know I've shown it before, but let me show it again in case you haven't seen it. This is the next pattern I'm writing up. I made this years ago with art yarn, okay? You cannot afford to make this shawl with art yarn. Just take my word for it, because I got it on a half price going out of business sale. That's the only reason I was able to do this. But it's layered in 4 colors, so it was 4 skeins of art yarn, which normally goes for, I don't know how many, 45, 50 bucks a skein now. So I wanted to write it up with a different yarn, and I went through her yarns, and I decided this is made of mohair and silk. It's sequined, garter stitch here, and a lace pattern down to the edge, and then faggoting as a border. And again, it's called Guardian of Air. This is up on my Ravelry page. This is the next pattern I'm going to be writing up. It's actually going to be a lot simpler to knit than the one that I'm publishing right now. But these are the 2 colors. It'll be a little smaller because I don't know if we could do it that big with just these 2 colors. But there's a lot of yardage, and it's silk and merino wool. It's beautifully shiny. It is nice and soft. And it's a very generous size skein, over 500 yards of a light fingering. So I think it will make a gorgeous Guardian of Air shawl. And I actually started writing, knitting up just a little gauge sampler, gauge swatch, and it's coming out nice. This is actually going to be the border, not the main color. The main color will be the blue, and I'll use this for the faggoting. This is called Silver Bells, and the blue is called Cerillos, and they look beautiful together. So you'll be hearing more about this in the future. I got the yarn, and actually as I write it up, I'll start knitting up the sample. But I have no, expectations time-wise on when we'll see this. So it's not going to be anytime soon. But I wanted to share that beautiful yarn with you. So now, oops, sorry, dropped something. Now about Vogue Knitting Live. So this is all nitty chatter. If you don't want to hear the nitty chatter, feel free to leave. That's it until next week. What an amazing time we had. First off, I've gone every year since the very first Vogue Knitting Live in New York City. I've been going, and it just keeps getting better and better. They learn from their mistakes, they pay attention to feedback, and it's just become a really amazing event. And I go down with my good friends, Sandy, Lori, and Susan, and we always have a great time together. We usually do dinner afterwards, and this year was no different. But what we did do a little different is Sandy and I signed up for a Sunday morning class that started at 9 o'clock, and we decided to get a room and stay the night. Instead of going down all day Saturday for shopping and then getting up and driving down again on Sunday morning to take the class, we decided to split a room at $215 a night for Times Square. You just can't beat that. And then we didn't have to get up as early to get to our class on time and worry about traffic or parking or anything like that. And boy, did that make a big difference in the weekend. I usually don't go both days. I usually just go Saturday. I took a class once and actually swore I would never take a class again because it took away half of my shopping time. And because it was only 3 hours, it didn't teach me anything. And they're expensive. They're $85, I believe. But this year, they put out a sale. And I signed up for a class because it was half price if you took a Sunday class. And I'm like, I talked to Sandy and I asked her if she was interested. And that's what we did different this year. And it made the weekend just so much fun. So we started going, we drove down Saturday morning, and I live about, well, it's about 50 minutes to an hour from Manhattan, give or take. Usually, maybe even a little less. But Sandy drove, and we all drove down together. We left our friend Lori and Susan. They left their car at the train station because they took the train home. They didn't stay. We did some overnight parking, which I think we got a pretty good deal on, $40-something overnight with tax and all. And then we walked from the parking, which was only a couple of blocks, to Vogue Knitting Live. And I think we got there about 10:30, which not too bad. And so we didn't have the long lines or anything. And the only bad thing was it was raining. And I was soaking wet by the time we got there. And we only walked 2 blocks. They didn't have a room ready, but they let us leave our luggage there and hold our luggage. And I just had a duffel bag. And it would have been so nice to just get a room and just dry my hair a little. But I soon forgot about that. We went upstairs and we did our shopping and we walked around, and then they called us around noon. My room was ready. So I went upstairs and I kind of like took a poca siesta. I kind of fixed my hair a little because it was... Well, I ran out of space on my phone while I was recording. So that's what happened. I apologize for that. I had to delete a bunch of stuff, and I'm back now. I left off at lunch, so we spent the rest of the day shopping, and then we brought everything up to our room, and we walked around for a while. We found a great Thai restaurant where we had dinner. My daughter actually came down Saturday as well. She took the train down because she had a friend who was doing a birthday party at Dave & Buster's in Manhattan. So she came down early and she hung out with us for a little while, and then her friend came and got her, and they went to Dave & Buster's, and she actually spent the night with us, which worked out nice. So it was really cool to see my daughter. She's 20 years old, so she's been down in the city many times. So and her friend Adam actually got her back to the hotel personally and made sure she got in the elevator, she said. So anyway, dinner was delicious. We found, we were looking for this Turkish restaurant that we ate at a different time we were there on 9th Avenue. We couldn't find it, so we just decided to try a different place, and we were not disappointed. The Thai food was delicious, but I was so full. And then from there, our friends actually went straight up to Grand Central to the train home, and Sandy and I walked back. And it's a good thing we did, because it helped walk off all the food that we ate. And I only ate half of what was on my plate. I had pad Thai and I had Thai curry puffs and some wine. It was just delicious. So we got back, and Sandy's like, let's go and find some knitters, and let's hang out, and let's knit. And I'm like, okay, well, let me just do this first. And I forget what I was doing. I think I was knitting. Oh, I was getting a swatch ready for the class I was taking in the morning, which was on designing, and she said, bring some swatches. So I'm like, okay, just let me get this, going, and then we'll go. And before you know it, she was sound asleep. So we ended up staying in the rest of the night. Rachel got back late, and I didn't sleep good because it was so hot in the room. But what are you going to do? We got up in time for our class, and then it finished just in time for us to check out of our rooms. I wanted to talk about the class. So there's 2 things I wanted to talk about, and one was the class I took was, it was taught by Michelle Wang, and if you don't know of Michelle Wang, she's a designer for Brooklyn Tweed. Here's her card. She's a great designer. I mean, if you like Brooklyn Tweed, she's one of his designers. And she actually gifted us a pattern, this one here, which she just put out, not for Brooklyn Tweed, but can't really see the details. You should go check it out on her Ravelry. And it's got a little glare from the lights because it's shiny. Oh, there you can see it a little better. But basically, um, I talked a little before about how I had taken a class before, and it's always hit or miss. When you take a class that is only 3 hours, there's only so much you can do with 3 hours of time, especially with knitting, because if you're teaching something where they actually have to knit something, that knitting takes time. So it's really hard. And I took a class at Vogue Knitting Live 2 years ago, I think, and it was a 3-hour class, and I'm not going to say which one it was, but it was a complete waste of money. And I took 2 classes at Vogue Knitting Live, both of them 3-hour ones, and both of them not worth the money. And I swore I would never take another one. But they had this offer for half price if you took a class on a Sunday. And that's when I went to Sandy and I said, would you be interested in taking a class on Sunday? And if so, would you want to share a room with me? And she said yes. So I did, and I was not disappointed at all. Michelle's class was about making your design a reality, and she talked about how to create a design, and from the creative part to the technical part to the practical points to references, I can't even begin to tell you. She covered everything you need to know. She gave a couple of exercises. She gave references. She explained things beautifully. Her material was superbly done, had everything you needed in there, so all you had to do was pay attention. She gave us tons of examples. She was so articulate and so good at explaining things, and I could not believe how good the class. I can't say enough good things about the class. So I really feel confident now that if I have some kind of sweater pattern, that I could more easily get my idea from here to the paper. And the other thing she talked about is how you can do it it's all about knitting a good gauge swatch. And that's really all it comes down to. But phenomenal class. All I can say is, if you have an opportunity to take a class with Michelle Wang, you should jump on it. And I know that she lives in New York City, which is accessible to me. So I'm going to basically check out her site or join her mailing list, because if she teaches another class, I'm taking it. That's all I got to say, because it was so helpful. The other thing I did, which was on Saturday, and the only thing I regret about it is that I had to miss the podcaster meetup, and I really wanted to meet some of my favorite podcasters. But I was not going to miss the Fiber Factor runway show. They had that. They showed all the pieces from the designers that won. And I think they showed a few of the other pieces, or they had everything there. But the fashion show was about the 4 remaining contestants for the final challenge. And this is not meant to be a Fiber Factor review. And I don't think I can tell you who won yet, because they're not announcing that until Wednesday. All I can say is all 4 collections blew me away. And any one of them could have won the challenge and deserved it. So there was no disappointment in the winner. It wasn't my first pick, but like I said, wait till you see what these people designed. It is phenomenal. I liked everything I saw. And even, let me see. So the final contestants were Lauren Ricker. Her stuff is definitely not my style, and it's nothing I would make her wear, but it was magically beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. The details were gorgeous. They were pieces that someone could make, but they were stunningly beautiful with just simplest details, but nothing I could wear. And then there was John Rivet. John is one of my favorite designers. His pieces are exquisite, detailed. The attention to all the details are like unbelievable. And I can't understand why this man is not a professional couture designer, because his work, in my opinion, was top notch the whole way through, like beyond expectations for every challenge. I just can't believe what he came up with. And his pieces for the final challenge were no different. They were out of this world gorgeous. Out of this world gorgeous. His sweater, I want that sweater. Then Terry Rosenthal, oh my gosh, her dress, all three of her pieces were stunning. Her color choices were perfect. The way she blended and transitioned the colors, her dress I would wear. I don't think there's ever been a knitted dress I said, oh, I would wear that. This one I would, and even though I'm a big girl, it could flatter any figure. I think of all the contestants, she had the most beautiful felted art piece. One of them had to be felted with that special felting paper that they use, and hers was by far the most beautiful. And then there was Tracy. Tracy's last name is Percher, and Tracy's work was also beautiful, and I actually bought one of her patterns from a previous challenge. Her sweater design elements are very creative, and everything was just gorgeous. She made a felted hat that came out like it was made like by a professional hat maker. It was just fantastic. So all four of them, hats off. You were all fantastic designers, and I loved everything all of you did for the finals. And I can't see how they could have decided. It was just, what must have been the hardest decision to make. But I think the winner was deserving, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. So I think Wednesday, they said by Wednesday they would have the final information up on the Fiber Factor website. So check it out. Finally, I wanted to talk about all the beautiful exhibits they had there. They had this knitted glass, and where the artist knit with wax, made a mold out of it, melted the wax out, and then filled it with glass and made these glass sculptures. And I'll have pictures of all of this. There was this knitted flower garden with bird baths, and there was felted gnomes on a chessboard. There was a hand knit mermaid, life size. There was this beautiful artist, which I actually bought some gift tags from. Here's the gift tags. Those 3 different patterns, 3 different sizes, one of each in each size. I bought 2 of these. And I also bought, she had a journal that she sold, and I wanted one with graph paper, and so I paid for it, and she said she would mail it to me. She would have it made with graph paper. And here's her business card. She had beautiful prints up. They were just stunning. Her name is Carol McDonald, and her website is carolmcdonald.com. So go check it out. There was also these beautiful circular lace pieces that were arranged beautifully and cast beautiful shadows. I will have pictures of all that at the end of this show, but I'll have a nice amount of pictures for you. And then finally, Sunday morning, we actually had breakfast at Junior's, which is right across from the hotel in Times Square. And it was the best breakfast I've ever had in my life. And they brought my daughter French toast. They brought her fresh strawberries. They brought her like an apple chutney. And it was just phenomenal. And the whole weekend was. And so after the class, we did one last walkthrough. And then Sandy and I packed it up and drove home. and stopped for pizza on the way home. I had such a great time with my friend Sandy. I didn't talk about her much, but she's a wonderful lady. I'm trying to talk her into doing the show with me once in a while because she's just so wonderful, and she's got such a beautiful energy to her. Did you hear that, Sandy? Did you make it this far? She told me my shows are too long, but I'm like, well, there's some 15-minute shows on iTunes if you want to watch one. But anyway, that's about it for Vogue Knitting Live, and thank you all for staying with me this long, and thank you all for watching my podcast. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry it's a little late, and hopefully by next weekend I'll have some great works in progress and maybe even a FO to show you. So that's it for now. Ciao, ciao.